Welcome to the Young CEO Mastermind session. We have these every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am your host. My name is Andre Kennedy, aka Free Play Dre. If you guys know who I am, you guys know that I am the founder of Dazzler.com. For those of you that don't know, let me introduce myself. I am a young entrepreneur. I've established multiple businesses, and by multiple businesses, let me explain. So I own three real estate properties that are rentals, not including the one that we currently live in. I also operate a credit repair and credit funding business. Okay. This is all e-commerce that I do. I also operate a car rental business where I actually go and purchase these vehicles for discounted rates, and I list them on a platform where I can rent these vehicles out on a daily basis. So operate and own a rental car fleet, and not to mention, I operate a landscaping company as well. Plus, I'm a father, a husband, and I am also a participant in my local church. So, with that being said, that is a little bit about myself. I am designing these videos in order to educate and teach a lot of people the information that I have come across that has allowed me to stack over $150,000 worth of credit capital. And no, I do not say that lightly because I was able to do that in less than 3 years. So if that's something that you think you can do as well, I mean, if I could do it, you could do it. Pay attention, watch to the end of this video because we're going to give you some information that's going to help you get to that next level. So tap in, let's move forward. So I'm going to be sharing my screen today simply because I want to show you guys a certain bank that is quite important when it comes to building and leveraging your credit. So I want to teach you guys right now a bank that a lot of you guys might know of already, but I want to introduce you guys to it if you have not heard of it prior. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. Hopefully you guys can see this, but it's as simple as going on the Google search and typing in Navy Federal. Okay, Navy Federal is a well-known bank. This is a bank that requires a certain criteria in order to actually be associated with this bank. Okay, Navy Federal is a high-tier bank. I'm going to tell you the entryways in order to get into Navy Federal. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and drag this in here because we want to look at Navy Federal's banking. Okay, they are a nationally owned bank. You guys can see, you guys can access just by simply going on Google and typing in Navy Federal. Now, like I said, they are a member-based credit union. Okay, one of the most well-known credit unions out there. So, you do need to be able to enter into membership. The only way you can do that is three simple ways. Number one is going to be you're going to have to be a relative of a veteran or somebody who's in the U.S. military. Okay. You will need to be associated, brother, sister, mother, aunt, uncle, to somebody who is in the military. If you qualify and meet that criteria, then you can legitimately get into Navy Federal. Okay. If you do not meet that criteria, then you cannot get into Navy Federal legitimately. Okay. Now there is other ways to get into Navy Federal. Okay. And I'm going to teach you guys here on this live session because I want you guys to understand the loopholes and things that are out there. Okay. Now, number one, in order to get into Navy Federal, this is kind of called the backdoor method. And this is for educational purposes only. Let me make that disclaimer. I'm not telling anybody to go out here and get into trouble or do any illegal activity. But I just want to make you guys aware of what is out there. Okay. So for educational purposes only. Now, with that being said, Navy Federal, you can get in if you have a deceased relative who was in the Army, okay? And they are now deceased, but that doesn't stop you from having a relative that is associated with the Army and allowing you to actually open up a Navy Federal account. Okay. Now, this is called the backdoor method. A lot of people are aware of this method, but I'm going to make you guys aware. Okay. It's a very simple process. All you're doing is calling the customer service line on Navy Federal. I'm sure you can find that even here on the homepage. Let me see at the bottom. Boom, 24/7 member services, or I'm sure you could possibly go to contact us and their number will be here. Okay. So simple. Okay. You can get into Navy Federal. Perfect. Okay. Now you're gonna need to call and you're gonna need to speak to a representative. Okay. And you're going to have to let them know that you're trying to open up a Navy Federal account, but you can't find your deceased relative who was in the Army's documentation. Okay. Now they're gonna ask you different questions, this and that. Obviously, you're gonna have to have a name and a fake social, some fake information for this individual. But as long as you have that and the makeup of that, then you can claim a deceased loved one that was in the Navy and they can provide you with a checking account. Okay. It's a lot of, smooth, not smooth talking necessarily. You go through the normal process of opening up an account, but you're going to have to explain to them your situation. Okay. Now, that is another way to get in. Another way to get in, okay, we talked about you knowing somebody, brother, sister, mother. Now, once you're into Navy Federal, what happens is you get an access code. Okay, everybody gets an access code. Okay, so if you have an access code, you can actually offer that to another relative and basically usher them into Navy Federal. Okay, Navy Federal will provide them with a membership as long as you claim relative to them. Okay, so that's an easy way to get somebody in. Um, there are people that sell this opportunity. Okay, you could pay somebody $50, they'll give you their access code, and you can get into Navy Federal. Very simple. Okay. As a member of my community, we represent you as brothers and sisters, and we get you in the Navy. Okay. So there's many ways to get in the Navy Federal, but this is one of the major banks you're definitely going to want to lock into. Okay. Now, with Navy Federal being the number one, not one of the number one banks, but this is one of the top banks that we are going to use to transition from personal secured credit to unsecured credit. Okay. And this is going to be our entryway to be able to do that. So we're going to look up personal really quickly. And I wish all this would just go into the same tab that I'm sharing my screen on. But it doesn't seem to want to do that. So we're going to go here under personal. There should be a drop down menu. Maybe not. Okay, personal. Okay. All right. And after we're in personal, we can go to credit cards. And once you go to credit cards, I want you to look for manage card, credit card. We're looking for the specific credit card that I want to show you guys, which is the credit builder. So underneath credit cards, you can go to browse all cards. Okay. And once you go to browse all cards, I want you to see this as well. Okay. So we went to credit cards. After we clicked personal, we went to credit cards and we clicked browse all cards. Okay. That's how we're going to get here. Now, once we get here, they have a secured card offer. Okay. And it's going to be this one. This one, the N Rewards secured card. Okay. this is our entry level credit card for Navy Federal. Okay. Once you go up, you have different tiers. You have your low interest card, you have your travel card, you have your pretty much catch all card, your groceries, your restaurants, etc. And you have, your cash back. Okay. So those are the cards that Navy Federal offers. But we're specifically going to look at this beginner credit card, which is going to be the N Rewards credit card. Okay. Now, what happens with this N Rewards credit card is you can go ahead and apply. But when you apply, obviously you already want to have a checking account with Navy Federal. We talk about relationship banking. We talk about making sure we have a checking and a savings with said bank prior to applying for credit cards with them. We talk about putting maybe $50 in each, right? It's called building a relationship with the bank. $50 in a checking, $50 in a saving. It's the 50-50 play. Okay. Make sure you guys are loading these accounts, building relationship. And by building relationship, I mean putting money into a checking or a savings. These banks are able to lend out 10 times as much money as you have in your checking and savings, based on what the federal government allows them to lend out. Okay, that's their criteria. But the more money you have in your checking and saving, the more incentive the bank has to give you. Okay, because that's the way they work. They want to give you incentive to hold more money in their banking and checking accounts so that they can alternatively lend out more money to other individuals who are trying to borrow and take loans out. Okay, as you can see, 18% APR. Okay, so if they're not paying these balances, that's where the banks are making their money. Okay, so we get into strategic strategies when dealing with credit cards because we like to avoid these high interest rates. Okay, but I don't want to get too deep into the interest rates of things. We want to talk about this card in specific. Okay, yes, it does have a high APR, but this is a balance. This is a beginner credit card, a builder. Okay, build or repair credit while earning rewards. Okay, what's going to happen? We're going to look at the card details, and I want to pull this up inside of our window here. We're going to look at the card details, and in the card details, it's going to tell us make a deposit as low as $200. Okay. Now, when they say make a deposit as low as $200, that means you're going to actually be putting this into your savings account in your own account. So it is still your money. Okay. Now, at the end of the term, let me see if it explains it here. At the end of the term, 6 months. Okay. Okay. So let's look at this real quick. So you're getting 1 point per dollar spent. So you're getting a bonus cash back, or not necessarily cash, but you're getting points. Okay. You're getting some sort of reward for spending money. Okay. With any other secure card, you're not really getting points or bonus or anything of that sort. Okay. So this already meets that criteria as one of the top credit builders that there is. This one, you're getting a bonus per dollar spent. Okay. Also, you're going to get in the app. It's going to help you build your credit because it's going to help come with a monitoring tool. We already use Credit Karma Experience, so that's not really needed, but it is a perk of having. Okay. Now, this is the very important part. At 3 months, you could be eligible for an automatic line increase that provides you with additional credit. Okay. So, automatic increase after 3 months. So, you maintain this card for 3 months as a beginner. Not only, okay, at 6 months, we'll review monthly to see if you're eligible for an upgrade to a cash rewards credit card. So that means they're going to upgrade you. Okay. So after 3 months, you're going to get an increase. So you might still have the M rewards card. Okay. So you get $200 credit limit because you put that down. Okay. As your secured limit. But in 3 months, they're going to reevaluate your spending habits. They're going to make sure you are paying your credit in time, keeping low utilization, etc. And as long as you are doing that in 3 months, guess what? They're going to give you an increase. So instead of your secured limit being maybe $200, your secured limit is now going to go from $200 to maybe $700 or $2,000. Okay. And they're also going to give you your $200 cash back into your checking. Okay. So that 200 that you transfer into your savings in order to transfer into a secure card now is unsecure, and it actually gets put back into your checking account. Okay. That's one of the great things about Navy Federal. That is why we are recommending them as one of the top credit builders that we're going to use to transition from secured credit to unsecured. A lot of you guys are getting approved for secured limits. This is how you get out of that cycle. Okay. You're going to get a secured limit and it's going to graduate into a unsecured as long as you maintain positive history on that account. And in 6 months, you're eligible for an upgrade for the cash reward. So if you're not happy with this 1 point per dollar spent, we can go back, look at our credit cards, scroll up to the cash rewards, and this is what it's going to upgrade to. So you're going to get 2% unlimited cash back or 1.5% with the card. Okay. So there's a plus and there's a normal, but you get 2% with the plus and you get 1.5% with the normal. Okay. So that is the opportunity that you have at hand with Navy Federal. Now, I will mention a few personal credit hacks as well, other than just this credit builder loophole. Okay. The other hack is going to be their pledge loan. They don't really necessarily advertise their pledge loan on the actual website. This is something that you're going to want to call the Navy Federal customer service line and ask about. Okay. So write this in your notes. You're going to call Navy Federal and you're going to ask them about a pledge loan. Okay. So this is basically a secured loan in which you are putting your own capital up in order to provide a amount that they're going to lend you. Okay. I know that's hard to kind of understand just hearing it for the first time. But basically think of it like this. It's a secured installment loan. Okay. Now, the perk of this is you're going to have a lump sum of cash. Hopefully you've saved up maybe $5,000, $10,000. Okay. And you're going to provide that to Navy Federal, in which they're going to write you a loan for that set amount. So if you gave them 10,000, they're going to write you a loan for 10,000, but because they're giving you a loan, they have to give you cash. So they're going to give you the $10,000 back. Okay. So now you have a loan on your profile for 10,000. They just lent you back your money. Okay. Now, the perk of doing that is this. You're going to take that 10,000 and you're going to pay back 90% of that installment loan. Okay. Now, what happens is once you pay back 90%, that's going to report a installment loan that is 90% paid off on your credit, which is going to, in return, boost your credit score significantly. Not only that, but once it's paid off, now you have comparable installment loan credit, okay, and comparable credit, which means you have loans, you have demonstrated that you can pay back $10,000 to a bank, okay? And in the credit system, all other banks can see that activity, which means now other banks are more acceptable to then lend you that same, or if not more than 10,000 amount. Okay. So that's very important to know, is that you can take advantage of Navy Federal's pledge loan in order to manufacture a comparable credit in which other banks will compete for your business. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Hopefully I can break that down to you a lot more in our mentorship program. If you have more questions, definitely feel free to ask in the comments as well. I like to read over the comments and answer any questions that you guys might have. So other than that specific Navy Federal pledge loan, there's one other thing that Navy Federal specializes in, which is credit limit increases. As you've seen, they do offer that automatic credit limit increase, but there's also an opportunity to request a credit limit increase. Now, if you already have Navy Federal, you can definitely try this out, but this is going to be important moving forward because Navy Federal gives you an opportunity if you've been keeping positive payment history, if you've paid all your debts on time on said credit card, now basically you can go to Navy Federal and request a credit limit increase in which they will grant you up to an additional $7,000 on top of your current credit limit. Every about 6 months, I would say you can do this. Okay. So what happens is after time, you can build your credit limits with Navy Federal up to $20,000 or $30,000 quite quickly if you're getting $7,000 grants every couple of months, 6 months to a year. Every increase you're getting is now boosting your credit limit, right? And as we mentioned, comparable credit, right? When other banks are looking at how much to give you as far as a credit line or a credit limit for your credit card, guess what? They're looking in the universal system, which is the credit system, to see how much other banks have given you. Okay. And if they're seeing $20,000 limits and they're seeing low utilization, they're seeing on time payments, that means you've managed that $20,000 correctly. Now we're likely to give you 20, 30, 40, even more money because we can see that you've already demonstrated that you can manage that type of capital. Okay. So that is very important moving forward. This is why we implemented Navy Federal into our credit funding sequence. Okay. So after you've gotten the 3 top tier beginner credit cards, now it's time to move into Navy Federal. If you are struggling to get enrolled into Navy, definitely reach out at dazloo.com, DAZLOO. You can schedule a Zoom call with me. You can book a session with one of my teammates, or you can actually get started and become one of our members of our credit community where you get access to our Telegram chat where we can basically get more personal on a personal level. Okay. You can actually be a part of my inner circle where you can ask me questions directly. And I have my phone 24/7. I can then respond to you within our group community chat on the spot. Okay. Which is very nice. And also, all of our recorded videos are dropped in there. And all of the links that you would need to get into Navy Federal, the links to get into the beginner credit cards, the links to get into other banks that we've mentioned throughout this process, the credit stacking process. Every link will be dropped in our group Telegram chat, and you'll be able to have access to that at any point in time that you need it. So, with that being said, that is the benefits of being a part of our community. Hopefully, you guys got a lot of value, a lot of information from this call. We went over Navy Federal today. We went over 3 hacks. Don't forget, as a bonus, Navy Federal does offer business relationship as well. So for those of you guys that are a part of my community where we're talking about business credit and things of that sort, you guys are understanding that building a personal relationship with these banks is key in order to get access to business relationships with these banks as well, if they offer that opportunity. And Navy Federal is one that offers business opportunity, which is how we family are about to run up the bag. So, with that being said, Trump is now president. He has introduced the idea of creating lower rates and a cap on credit cards at 10%. If that is true, credit will be major and a key factor to building wealth these next few years during his term of presidency. So, with that being said, make sure you guys lock in. Now is the time. Dazloo.com. The link will be in the description below. I'll see you guys on the inside.